Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
It's one thing to steal from adults, but taking a kid's piggy bank? Police are hoping you can help them find a thief with very distinct clothing.
More than 200 races will be decided tomorrow across Metro Detroit. Coming up, we'll take a look at the ones to watch and the ones that could give us a window into 2022 and 2024.
Governor Whitmer says a big pile of auto insurance money should be paid back to Michigan drivers now. But some are saying, hold on, pump the brakes. We'll start there today at 6. The governor says there is a $5 billion surplus in the fund Michigan drivers pay into to help people with catastrophic injuries from car accidents.
And she wants the group in charge of that money to get refund checks. Priya Mann is live with the reasons the governor is giving and why some say it's a mistake. Priya, auto insurance is always a big issue around here.
Yeah, that's right, Kim, Devin. You know, the drivers we talked to say the reforms that Governor Whitmer signed into law in 2019 haven't really lowered their premiums, and they say asking for refund checks now is simply a short-term fix.
It's too high in Michigan, and we're Motor City, but every other state is way cheaper.
Governor Whitmer is trying to lower costs for drivers by calling on the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, saying the over $5 billion surplus accumulated by the MCCA belongs to Michiganders and should be put in people's pockets immediately with a refund check.
It's just like a temporary Band-Aid. I think there's a long-term solution that they should really start working on.
A portion of our premiums fund the MCCA, which helps cover catastrophic injuries. The private nonprofit has concerns about the amount Whitmer is requesting.
At $5 billion, because that is all of our surplus. So there's no cushion in our reserves for anything going bad. We would have a deficit position then. Then we got to raise our rates, which we don't want to do.
Auto insurance reform signed by the governor in 2019 removed mandatory no-fault coverage. But 2 years later, drivers say their premiums haven't gone down.
Looking what other states are paying for essentially the exact same coverage and knowing that we're paying so much more is, to me, a bit ridiculous.
The owner of SKF Insurance says there's a risk to issuing refunds early.
Everybody wants their money now, but I think that they should actually investigate and see, first of all, why there's a surplus now and why she's making that proposal now before they go ahead and send the money back to the customers at this time.
Now, the Insurance Alliance of Michigan supports relief for drivers, but also has concerns about moving that time frame up. In a statement which reads in part, they said changes to any part of reform will have a domino effect that will change the MCCA's long-term liabilities, increase premiums, and drive up costs at a time when Michiganders can least afford it. Now, the MCCA says they will take a look at this issue within the next month. They have 5 members on their board. They would have to vote in order to make refund checks a reality. Reporting live tonight in Farmington Hills, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
A lot involved, but we will stay on top of it. Priya, thank you.
We move to the coronavirus headlines tonight. The state is reporting new data, and here is the breakdown thus far. 9,313 cases were recorded. 3-day total right now of 3,100 cases per day. 65 more Michiganders have died from coronavirus. Meantime, Michigan also tracking coronavirus outbreaks in schools across the state. There are currently 101 new COVID-19 outbreaks in schools. We've got a complete list of the impacted schools and districts at clickondetroit.com. And the go-ahead for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11 could happen this week. CDC's vaccine advisors are set to vote tomorrow, and then the CDC director expected to officially recommend it. So kids 5 to 11 could be getting their shots as soon as Wednesday.
People in 3 Oakland County communities are still being told to boil their water because of a water main break. Last night, the water main at 14th Mile and Drake in Farmington Hills exploded, sending gushing water into neighborhoods. Pressure from the break damaged nearby homes and forced evacuations. People in Novi, Walled Lake, and Commerce Township are under a boil water advisory. Several other surrounding communities may experience low water pressure. It may be days before that water main is fixed.
Andrew's turn, and he has been trying to break it to us gently. We're talking about a certain something we just might see tonight.
I'm still not ready to say it out loud, Andrew.
Weather counseling is what I call it this time of year, right? Well, we're talking about the possibility of some snowflakes that may be flying later tonight or tomorrow, or both. 43 right now over in Howell, 46 in Mount Clemens. We're also in the chilly 40s right here in Detroit, 46 degrees. Feels more like the beginning of December than the first day of November, right? Well, it continues to be chilly and it gets colder later this evening. For now, raindrops and yes, snowflakes are all someplace else. Well, to our south, you see a few snowflakes here in northern portions of Wisconsin. But with the winds coming off of Lake Michigan, there will be some lake-enhanced sprinkles and flurries possible by midnight tonight and afterward. But as you can see, the flakes, few and far between. So no heavy accumulation, more just the conversation piece than anything else. We'll talk more about this for your Election Day forecast and what it means in a few moments. First, you can track any raindrops or snowflakes yourself with the local forecasters app. This is perfect if you're on the go, even if you're still at home, because it puts weather in the palm of your hand. The local forecasters app, search WDIV in your app store.
All right, Andrew, now to an unusual crime in Adrian. A burglar goes inside a home and takes several things, including a child's piggy bank. That piggy bank contained the child's life savings. You see it in these photos of the suspect. The crime happened Thursday afternoon on Dennis Street. Man last seen walking northbound from East Barry through the alley that runs between South Winter and Dennis. So if you recognize the person or saw anything that might help, contact police.
There may not be a presidency or governorship on the line, but some very important voting will take place tomorrow that will affect our daily lives. Grant Herms has a look at what's at stake in several communities around. Grant.
There are hundreds of races tomorrow across Metro Detroit, and while every vote counts, we're going to be taking a look at some of these races that are certainly the ones to watch. We're going to take these county by county, starting in Wayne. There's been a lot of talk about the big elections in Detroit. After a term marred by corruption, FBI raids, and resignations, voters have a chance to completely remake city council and choose a new mayor. There are also 3 proposals that could chart a new path for Detroit. Over in Taylor, another tale of corruption, where the mayoral race is wide open after the current mayor, Rick Sollers, was indicted in a bribery case. In Livonia, potentially a reshuffling of all 7 council seats. And in Westland, the race for mayor between 2 very different candidates. One-term city councilwoman Tasha Green is hoping to unseat longtime mayor Will Wild after accusing him of corruption. In Macomb County, a special election. Voters will choose who should take over the state Senate seat for District 8, left vacant by now County Prosecutor Peter Lucido. And in Sterling Heights, a mayoral race that's gotten heated in the past few weeks. Unaffiliated current mayor Mike Taylor is running against conservative challenger Ken Nelson, a small-scale test of how far the ideology of former President Trump still reaches into wealthy suburbs. Moving west to Oakland County, a number of public safety funding proposals in towns like Farmington Hills, Oak Park, and Orchard Lake. The outcome of these could be a window into how newly solid Democratic suburbs feel about the debate over police reform. In Auburn Hills, a unique but hot-button issue, a proposal to change the city's charter to adopt gender-neutral language. And in Monroe County, a little more routine. Voters deciding whether to keep Mayor Robert Clark in office and potentially choosing new council members for 3 of the city's 7 seats. And we are tracking all 216 races on clickondetroit.com. You can head there right now to get a look at the ballot in your community so you get up to speed before you head to the polls tomorrow. In Detroit, Grant Herms, Local 4.
Okay, Grant, and absentee voting has already started. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close tomorrow at 8.
What qualifies as immune compromised, and is it okay if you don't want to mix and match your booster dose? Dr. Frank McGeorge back live to answer more of your COVID vaccine questions that just keep pouring into us. Frank?
They sure do, Devin. So a viewer asks, can or should I get the booster if I'm pregnant? Well, the answer is yes. Pregnancy is actually considered a higher risk condition, and it qualifies for the booster. Now, here are some more of your questions. A viewer asks, who is considered immunocompromised? Are you immunocompromised if you have high blood pressure or are overweight? Should anyone that has these conditions get the COVID-19 booster shot? Well, there are really 2 different questions in there. First off, people with those conditions are considered high risk for severe COVID and should receive a booster, but that's different than being immunocompromised. Having moderate to severe immune compromise means you need more than a booster dose. You need what's being referred to as a 3rd or additional dose as part of your initial vaccination. The CDC considers the following situations as moderate to severe immune compromise: receiving active cancer treatment for tumors or cancers of the blood, received an organ transplant and are taking medicine to suppress the immune system, received a stem cell transplant within the last 2 years or are taking medicine to suppress the immune system, moderate or severe primary immune deficiency, such as DeGeorge syndrome, Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome, advanced or untreated HIV infection, active treatment with high-dose corticosteroids or other drugs that may suppress your immune response. Now, another viewer writes, I don't want to mix and match my booster. If I did not have side effects with the original J&J shot, can I count on having the same non-reaction to the booster? So the answer is probably. The available data actually suggests in general, people are going to have a reaction to a booster vaccine that's very similar to their original vaccine.
So, Frank, I know a number of people are talking today about Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary. She announced she's tested positive for COVID in spite of the fact that she is vaccinated. So talk a little bit about yet another breakthrough case that has gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think actually this is kind of instructive in general. Psaki was fully vaccinated, but individuals in her household actually became infected. And that's a very common source of infection for a lot of people. Yeah. Now, after her exposure, notably, she quarantined and tested daily, ultimately testing positive a few days later. And that highlights the importance of repeat testing after an exposure, even if you are vaccinated. It also highlights an important reason to limit contacts, that is to protect others around her, including, in this case, the president.
From your own household, even. Yeah, all right, Doc.
Some good questions, too. All right, here it comes again. We're talking about daylight saving time. We look at the impact of that extra hour of sleep and how people feel about a tradition that many see as outdated.
Yeah. Also, what do you do when supply shortages keep you from training for your job? We'll see what police in one part of Michigan have resorted to as ammunition is now getting harder to find. We'll be right back.